Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. This is RTX Pinball. I am RetroTechX, also known as Troy. If you met me at the expo, got to meet a lot of cool people there. This video is going to be all about my experience of going to Pinball Expo for the first time. A little introduction to my channel. It's a digital pinball channel, which has some real pinball elements. We talk about a lot of different things, but mostly at games, digital stuff. A little bit of X Arcade, a little VR. Zachary Pinball, Pinball FX, kind of a little bit of everything. And I'm going to be looking for a new pinball machine. That's something that I'm looking for in the near future. So I went to Pinball Expo to continue to be exposed to this wonderful group of people and play wonderful pinball games, which I do a lot of. And this is going to be about my experience. So let's get into it. Well, let's take 1 second though. I do want to acknowledge the fact that many of you, to the tune of about 25 to 30 people in the last 3-4 days have found my channel and subscribed. And I want to personally thank all of you for putting that little bit of faith in me and perhaps looking at the channel and going, yeah, I kind of like this guy. I like his stuff. Maybe it was just Pinball Expo, but I hope you'll give me a little bit of leeway to introduce myself, and hopefully you like the content. If you don't, let me know what I can do better. But thank you for taking that extra step and just hitting the subscribe button. I really appreciate that. So let's get into the content today. I got a lot of stuff to go through. This is probably going to be a little bit lengthy, but there's a lot of good stuff to talk about. So let's jump over to the Pinball Expo. So obviously I went up, I can't say obviously, you don't know that. I drove up Thursday morning from Detroit area. It took me about 4.5 hours to get to the Chicago area, to the Schaumburg at the Expo Center. So this was my experience. So I got there at 10 o'clock thinking I had to be there at 10 o'clock for the show to open. So I took off a little early. Come to find out, I was early. The event hall starts at 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock local time. And I was thinking I didn't have the time change calculated, none of that stuff. So I was early. So I got there about 9:30ish and I had lots of time to kill. So I couldn't check into the hotel or anything, couldn't do that till after 3 o'clock local time. So I went ahead and basically dove into what I could. I played some pinball on my cell phone. I downloaded Elvira, played that a little bit in the morning, and then got online. So here you're representing, I'm probably about maybe 5th or 6th in line in the middle of these 3 lines, right before the show opens up. And we're about to run in and go to whatever we want. So you had to research, look at the vendor map, figure out where Winchester Mystery House is, and most of the people ran to that. Or they went to Stern to get in line for the Star Wars Fall of the Empire, the newest tables, or anything else that they particularly were of interest to them. But that was my experience. So anytime you see the flow of people coming into the expo hall, you'll probably see me in the middle row wearing a blue RTX shirt, but I was there. It was pretty cool. All right, so this next one, let's do it. So I walked over to the X Arcade first, which is actually in the background here, and I met with Abby and Josh and tried the new Elvira table in VR on the X Arcade. It was pretty cool. I'll go through my thoughts a little bit more on that in a minute. We're going to jump right to Alice Goes to Wonderland. So this was my second stop. I was not smart. I didn't go to Winchester Mystery House. I knew a lot of people would go there anyway, and I'm like, well, I've played a lot of the new games. It's the only one that I hadn't played other than Predator. So I was like, I've played Harry Potter. I've already played Fall of the Empire. I played a lot of those on free play, so I played a lot of hours. Or at least a couple hours on those tables. So I'm like, I know those tables. There's no reason for me to play those. So I had to check out this thing. This is the 3/4 size machine from Wonderland Amusements. I got a little wood token from them. It has a little QR code on it and a whole bit. So I got to try this thing out. My thoughts on it are not the best. The playability, the quality of the product seems pretty good, quite frankly. The playfield is really clean, but the code is really simple. You hit 3 shots, you light up the castle. You hit 3 ramps, you light up the Cheshire Cat. You hit the mini orbit 3 times, you light up the Mad Hatter. You collect the 9 elements that make up the story. That's pretty much it. There's not a whole lot. It's not a complex code. It doesn't have to be. Really cool IP. Obviously, Alice in Wonderland is wide open source at this point. It's a very old IP, so that's a thing that allows people to make a lot of stuff on it without incurring cost. So it's a beautiful IP. They did change the back glass since last year, which was kind of an issue that everybody talked about. That got cleaned up. It is a little dark in the aspect of the Queen of Hearts, which is pretty dark when you watch the movie. It's always kind of has like a foreboding kind of a theme to it. So, but the playfield here is quite pretty. You could see the quality is much better than it was last year. We've got a full-on castle that was nicely 3D printed or manufactured, not necessarily 3D printed. That 3D print is how you kind of start things out, to concept everything, make sure it works. So, it's a pretty good looking table. It plays okay. So remember, we're not using the full-size pinballs like this one here, which is actually quite a heavy ball when you really think about it. I had to buy those. I had never physically held a pinball myself, so I didn't know really what the weight was. They're much more dense than I expected. So this is a 3/4 size table, so the pinball is a little bit smaller, and the flippers don't need to be as strong. They had to adjust the strength from last year to make it work better this year. It does. The flippers work really good when they're working. So there was a lot of problems with this machine while I was here. At one point, the left flipper on this one died completely, and he had to swap it out. So he changed the coil out, did it on the show floor. Pretty simple. This one had full audio. The other machine on the backside did not have audio. So there was issues there. At one point, both flippers died on one of the machines. One of the machines also did not have any ball save, or didn't have an auto plunge. So you had to hit the button on the right hand side on the front face to be able to kick the ball out, and then you had to plunge yourself every time. So there were some issues there. But playability, as long as the flippers were up and running and things were working, it's a very playable table, and I think it could be a lot of fun. Yeah, the investment's about $800 to $1,200 per the Kickstarter, so there is some value there. But the biggest announcement here about this whole thing was that they actually announced that Ninja Turtles would be their second IP. So that is something that we're going to all have to look forward to. You see it on the column on the back side here on the right. So it's interesting to look at. I came back to this many times. We'll see some more pictures of the underside of the table and things like that later on. So Vic VC and I actually met here. BiggyD and I, he's on the arcade side. He knew of me. We met up. We stayed at the same hotel, so we ran back and forth all the time. We went through this table pretty extensively. He has a better opinion on it than I do. But he's more arcade. I'm more pinball. So anyway, that was my take on it. I'm going to wait until after the 6 months of the warranty goes away. I think that they're being not standard parts. This thing is going to get a lot of issues in the first 6 months, and they're going to have to weather the storm, if you will, to be able to meet the needs of all those people to get these things, keep these things operational and working. I did see the plunger handle come off multiple times on one of the machines. Like there's a lot of issues with these things. So I'm rooting for them. I want them to succeed, but I really, really cannot endorse it at this point. So hopefully it gets better. And like I said, I want them to succeed. It's a pretty thing. I would love that they could do a couple of these. A Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles would certainly appeal to me. That is my IP. I love that type of IP. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, that was my take on Alice Goes to Wonderland. Next up, American Pinball. I played Galactic Tank Force. This I had never seen This is like the limited edition, the full-on, fully signed tank edition where you fold down and it has the turret on it and the side grills for the or the side pods with the LED and make it look like a tank. It's really cool. I love the table. It's a lot of fun. So that was there. I played that quite a bit. Then I got over to some of the ones that I hadn't played. So Barry O's Barbecue Challenge, not a great game. I played Houdini, which I actually really liked. But somebody who was playing next to me stunk to high heaven, and I didn't even finish the game. But I actually really liked Houdini. That was quite a bit more fun. So Barry O's, I just wasn't feeling it, but at any rate. So this is over at Jersey Jack, and I know I'm going through some of these a little quick. This is actually my second take on this video because I screwed up and messed up a couple things earlier on. So I'm doing this again. But this was a Jersey Jack. This is Wizard of Oz. I think I played this maybe once before at One Well in Kalamazoo, Michigan. Pretty cool table. It's a beautiful table. It's a little, I don't know. There's not a lot of high opinions of this one, to be honest, and I didn't find it to be too wonderful either. I actually found the ruby slippers on the flippers to be kind of cool, but at the same time very distracting because they're not the same size as the flipper, and so I was having trouble. I almost wish they would just take those off and put them on the in lanes or on the slingshots or some other way to represent the ruby slippers because they were quite distracting actually. So yeah, it was an okay game. But Jersey Jack had basically they're obviously they're highlighting Avatar and Harry Potter, but they also had every one of their games available in a line, and this was the one that I snagged up to first because I'd played all the other ones. So yeah. Then I went over to Turner Pinball. Now, I love Turner Pinball stuff. I played their stuff at Ulix in Monroe a couple months ago. I fell in love with Ninja Eclipse. So that's a game that I played quite a bit. I love this table. Sadly, there was only 100 of these made, and they sold out. So I'm on the waiting list for the instance that I may come back. I would love to be able to purchase one of these at some point. And I'm saving money, so I'm hoping maybe at some point I can get a chance to get a hold of one. But Turner Pinball, they had a really cool metallic sticker, and so I added that to my water bottle here, along with my own logos. So, yeah, that was cool. Ninja Eclipse, great game if you haven't played it. It is a little quirky. It's got this flipper here that kind of gets in the way sometimes, but you have some really cool shots. There's a shot here where you can go from one scoop and then it kicks it over to the other scoop, and then this scoop will kick it up to the ramp. Some really cool stuff going on. Talked to the designer about this. He's a young guy and he just oozes energy, and it was just awesome. I love this. I love this IP, and it's completely new, but it was kind of exciting. It had all kinds of you have companions and you fight battles, and it's just great. Anyway, next up, Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. So this is the Dutch pinball game. I had never played. This was here last year apparently, and it was in a little more poor shape. I thought this to be beautiful, man. It has the lighting along the side rails here on the art. The topper here is fantastic. It has these haunting blue cat eyes that kind of follow you and look around, and they're like almost holographic. They look really awesome. This one I would have loved to play a little more. A lot of people online. There was only 2 of them at the show. One of them had kind of a weak flipper, so it would flip up and then just take a second to flip back down. So it's like, it's going to be tough to play. But I did take some good shots of it. There's a beautiful shot of the table. Just the artwork and music and lighting of pinball tables is second to none. I think for me, the passion that I have for these pinball tables is amazing. When you step up from one of these things and you have the knockers and the shaker motors and all this stuff actuating, and the solenoids and the bumpers and the sound effects, and everything blends together to be this beautiful machine that's just absolutely alive. And there's no experience quite like that in the video game world. Video games or arcade, it just doesn't exist. Pinball is its own thing and is an absolute attack on your senses, and it's wonderful in so many ways. And this table just highlights that. So, yeah. Next up, I got to play Spooky Looney Tunes. I'd never played this one before. Apparently, this was in One Well at one point. I never got to play it. Really cool. Love the theme. I love the Tasmanian Devil. Love Marvel the Martian. It's got the Chicken Hawk and Foghorn Leghorn and stuff like that. Cool IP. Really hard game. Really hard game, but really cool. There are lots of cool episodes and things like that going on. This was Space Hunt. I know this was here last year. The first time I had ever got exposed to it by Hexa Pinball. This was totally new to me. I had never played it. It's a really beautiful table. I was a little concerned about the pricing. This one here was $8,500 on the show floor, and then $9,500 new. The one around the corner there was like between $10,000 and $11,000. So I was a little off put by that. I'm not really sure what the price jump was. There were 5 of them at the show. 4 were here, and then there was one over at Pastimes in section. As soon as you walk in the door, you'd see one off to the left. First thing you see. So I did play it. It was actually really fun, and the animations are really cool on the DMD. So loved. I wish I could have played that a little more, but there was a lot to play. This was the highlight of the show, quite frankly. Barrels of Fun had just announced Winchester Mystery House. I believe it was Tuesday before the show. And within 2 days, this thing was sold out. It's a really cool new IP based on a actual house in San Jose, California. I believe it's San Jose. Correct me if I'm wrong. But it's been built on year after year after year for a long time. And she was apparently speaking with spirits via the Ouija board, which is why the apron has that. We'll talk about that in just a second here too. So there's stairs to nowhere, and there's 3 elevators, and all these rooms that are very quirky and very weird. She did what the spirits told her to do, so it is what it is. And it's just this weird haunted house, if you will. This IP was a labor of love between Carl D'Angelo, a pro player. He was whiteboarding something in Barrels of Fun, and he got together and had a collaboration and created this beautiful table. And the fact that it sold out in 2 days, I was able to shake Carl D'Angelo's hand and just say, "Hey, congratulations, man! That's an incredible feat." That meant a lot to me, and I know he's got to be pretty proud of himself. Like this is a crowning achievement, man. Really awesome. We want to see more of it. It shoots incredibly well. There's really cool shots. There's a really sneaky left orbit on here that if you don't see it coming, it'll catch you off guard. It certainly did me. I played this table 3 times. I had 3 million the first time. I had 70 million the second time. I don't know what happened. I got into a multi-ball and just started ripping it and got a really good score. The third time I played it, I was in line on the third day talking to Brooke from Pinball. She was awesome. By the way, I had a great conversation with her. Talking about Dune and pinballs and just everything. We had lots of time standing in line. So we both got to play this, and fantastic table. It's beautiful. The key system and the lighting and how it goes from a color shift. It turns off the lights completely. Absolutely beautiful. One thing I did want to talk about this with the apron, the Ouija board. I thought to myself that there's going to be a contingent of people that are going to have a problem with that. They're going to want to maybe cover that up. Or they might just consider, you know what, this and Harry Potter maybe aren't for them. Being a wizard and haunted house types themes, sometimes that can be frowned upon in the Christian world, with different religions and such. So I would think, well, you could cover up the apron in this. Well, it's not quite that easy because they actually do some really cool stuff with the apron on here, where they show out the what players are playing and the ball that you're on within the apron. So they could get a little creative, I guess, with some inserts or different things like that if they really wanted to go with the theme. But yeah, beautiful table, and super excited for this one. I hope to get to play it more. I know Ulix bought one, so I'll have access to it probably mid-November. I'm hoping to be able to play that, so we'll see. Next up, I got to play Portal 2 on the P3. This was something I was very excited about. If you're not new to my channel, you would have heard last week on my pinball post, which is Sundays at 9:30 p.m. I talked a lot about the P3 and something that I really wanted to play. In particular Portal 2 because of the extended playfield. I didn't think they were going to be at the show, and come to find out, Austin Wise out of Pennsylvania actually sells them, and so he was there as their kind of their exclusive provider or distributor. And I got to be able to play Portal 2. And this game is awesome. I didn't get to hear it too well because of the ambient noise is quite high in the pinball show. But the flow of the table and getting into those test chambers and all the different things. One of the guys there was able to describe different things to do. Hitting the spinners and then getting the ramps to both come up, and they act as portals. You hit one and it pops out the other. And then there was the faith ramp in the middle. So many cool shots on this table. I was concerned. I had heard a lot of issues about the flippers on the P3. They felt really good to me. I didn't have any problems with them at all. I actually, with my limited space, I would consider a P3 as being one of my 2 or 3 pinball tables that I ever own. And the fact that I could buy just the modules, I would definitely buy Princess Bride, Portal 2, and or Portal. I keep calling it Portal 2. Sorry about that. Portal. And then, of course, Final Resistance, the Scott Danesi game, which I love. Total Nuclear Annihilation. That game is very much the vibes of that, and it just has some incredible shots on it. So, has a that fires the balls out really fast on multi-ball, and the rip and the spinner. It was so much fun. There was a group of about 3 or 4 of us that were playing it together at one point, and we were just like, we all stepped away from that table going, man, that was awesome. I want that. So I said, I even told Justin, I was like, dude, I think you just sold 3 P3s, man. That was compelling. We all had a really good time. So here's a little bit more on it. This was the Princess Bride. It has the 3 different conditions of it. You have the standard, limited, and the collectors. It was really cool to see a lot of this stuff. Apparently there's a translate at the bottom that's swappable. So when this is not Portal, you can change it to Princess Bride or Final Resistance or whatever else, or you can just leave it. The top half is digital, so it just flops to whatever it is to the game. And then the skins were magnetic. On the side were magnetic skins, which I thought was really cool. So this is something I'm really considering. If I was to buy one, I would really want a P3. I think this gives me a limited space option that could do a lot, and I could really have a lot of fun with it. The IPs are great. It has Weird Al, and I mean, Final Resistance is not really an IP, but it's a thing. Scott Danesi, that's really good. Princess Bride, obviously had Portal. They had some really cool modules, and I did some shorts on this, so I did quite a few shorts on this actually, because I'm so passionate about it. I definitely want one of these in my collection at some point. I wish there were more of these in the wild, but even Justin had mentioned that people are just nervous that they're a little different, right? They're a little quirky, and they're easy to switch between modules, but at the same time, like if something goes wrong, they just don't know how to take care of them in the way that you would a typical pinball machine. So it's a thing. But Princess Bride, great game. Next up, just across the way from this one, we went over to the homebrew section. I went to the homebrew section. This is Tony Hawk's Pro Pinball. I did a really cool short on this. This has some amazing shots. There's like this little half pipe shot. There's a loop-de-loop here. There's a diverter ramp or flipper in the back that if you diverted this to the left, it came all the way down the left side here and actually flipped up onto the right flipper, basically emulating a death save. And it was such a cool shot. It was like, oh my gosh, that was cool. I'm so glad I got that on camera. Awesome table. I think this won Homebrew of the Year last year. Awesome table. It wasn't always running. I don't know if it just seemed to be shut down. It never seemed to be broke or anything like that. But awesome table. I had a lot of fun with it. This was Legend of Zelda next to it. Earlier in the life cycle. Didn't have playfield artwork, but it had a playable DMD. It has some different stuff going on with it. Plays really good. Has all of the traditional Zelda sounds and things like that. Really cool. This was Cuphead. I got to go to the seminar with Scott Miller, and he talked all about how he created this basically from scratch. What flippers he decided to use, the older system that he kind of gutted and took apart, the playfield that he did, and then of course the programming, all the programming and everything that had to come together to make this amazing table. It absolutely sings. It's in the EM style, which is in the same era as the game. I did ask him whether or not he had ever been contacted by Cuphead, and he said he hadn't. I was kind of shocked. I thought Cuphead would have come and connected with him at some point just to say, hey, either I want one of these or, hey, what the hell are you doing? Either way, awesome. Super cool to see this, and I was really excited to play it. So this was Monsters Incorporated, which is really cool. Some of these are just amazing. What a great IP for a table. Brooke and I were actually talking about how many amazing IPs there would be if Disney or Pixar got involved with pinball. Can you imagine the source material and the music and the artwork and everything that could go along, the voice work that could go along with that? It makes me think about what could be, right? It'd be so amazing. This is the next one here. This is Harry Potter. So this was actually created prior to Jersey Jack's announcement of Harry Potter. And this one has some really cool shots on it. It's not quite there yet. There was some stuff that wasn't working yet, or the code wasn't exactly right. But it's awesome. It's got all these really cool elements. It's funny that it actually has the Quidditch area up in the upper left, just like Harry Potter's does. Jersey Jack Harry Potter. You've got an upper playfield, which is got the elevated acrylic and all those things. You have a lot of the same elements, like the tree, and that would have held the car, or does hold the car in the Jersey Jack version and stuff like that. So, awesome table. This is Mothership. So this is the biggest pinball table you will ever see. More so than Hercules from Atari. I've played that actually. I think there's 26 in existence. There happens to be one in Fraser, Michigan at the Free Play Arcade over there, and I got to play it. This is Mothership. So this next picture will show you how big this thing is. I am not a small dude. I'm not tall, but I am bigger, and this machine is absolutely massive. In fact, it's not playable by younger kids because their wingspans are not wide enough. This is like a 4-foot wide table. But they did have additional flippers down at the bottom here. I don't know if you can see my mouse, where you can actually flip the flippers. It has an alternate, so you could actually play the game. It's played with a pool ball, just like Hercules is, and it's really cool. Next up, I was able to find some At Games digital pinball machines. So some of you probably passed these over, a lot of these over, and they're about 3/4 scale size. These are only 32-inch monitors, I believe, right? 32-inch. Maybe they're 40. I think it's 40 now that I think about it. Anyway, these are the At Games Pinball 4Ks. Now, I have this. My whole channel is based on this. I love this system. This one had the control panel on it. It's got Dinosaur Dynasty. I was a little surprised they didn't put the Addams Family on the outside just for curb appeal. People would have seen it and been more prone to come up and actually try this thing. But it was what it was. So this company, AVS, actually had some flyers to different things. So I thought this was interesting. I'm going to switch over to the spot cam for this. This was the flyer for Dinosaur Dynasty. And you'll notice it says Legends Pinball 4K Deluxe X. That is something we had never heard of in the at-game space. And this table, or this cabinet, if you will, is a Dinosaur Dynasty. We've seen that before. No problem, right? But it has 180 games included. So that's a lot of games. And they're quite expensive, quite frankly. When I bought my HD, I bought 130 tables. They were roughly about $200 for the tables at that time. They were only about, I think $5 or $6 a table at the time. And I paid $25 for the packs of like 6 or 8 tables at a time. So, yeah, this was a really interesting thing. And if you look at the back here, it says it comes with the control panel. So you're getting the control panel, you're getting the sound effects kit, you are getting 2 years worth of service, which was interesting. You're getting the 180 games already installed. The other thing here that was interesting that we did not know is if you look at the bottom right hand corner here, it has a skin for a Space Invaders cabinet, and we also haven't seen that. So this was stuff that has not been announced by At Games, that was basically leaked by AWS or AVS without even they just had the materials, right? It's not really a leak per se. But they also had this thing, which was really cool, and we'll talk a little bit about this a little bit more. They had this Missile Command. This is a full-size Missile Command Atari Recharged series game. Awesome. They had Gravatar. I took a picture of that. I played the Gravatar. That's my favorite Atari Recharge game, and it's awesome. It actually plays really well. It doesn't have a D-pad or joystick, so we'll cover that in a little bit. But back to the At Games thing. Something happened with At Games while I was there on the first day. Ninja Turtles happened. So this game was leaked about 6 months ago, I believe by Michael B, maybe Chaotic, maybe P-Dubs. I can't remember who exactly was able to find this leak. It was a PDF. I reported on it as well after the fact. But I wanted to give credit where credit was due. But the fact that I was going through the games here, because I love this system, right? I know this system like the back of my hand. I could teach anybody everything about this thing. I know about this thing left and right. And I come across Ninja Turtles. And I'm like, this is awesome. So here we are. I'm playing Ninja Turtles. And it occurs to me, oh my gosh. Like, I might be the first person ever to have actually played this outside of their testers and stuff like that. So I did a video of it. I took a video of it. I did a short of it. And then it occurred to me, maybe I shouldn't send that. But I had already talked to them and said, hey, I don't know that that's supposed to be on there. I'm really excited about it. I got to play. It was really cool. Plays really good. I did a one-handed short. I'm filming with one hand, trying to keep the glare out of the screen and playing one-handed the best I can to be able to play this thing. It plays awesome. It's a great game. I'm so excited to have it. I had rumors in the last couple of weeks that it would come out November 1st. Later in the day, At Games apparently called the company here on the show floor and told them to delete this title off the game. We came back to this table the next day. Nobody believed me that this was real. They thought it was AI, and I'm like, no, I actually played this thing. I have video of it. I have pictures of it. I love it. This is a great game. It exists, and they did announce it's coming out November 1st, along with a cabinet to Sam's Club. So it's a thing. It is absolutely coming. So that was pretty exciting for the first day. I had a lot of people reaching out to me like, dude, what the hell? How did you get that? What is that? Where did you see this? Can I go play it? And apparently my video had taken off enough. It had 700 views within just a few hours, and this table was taken off that before anybody else got to it. So if anybody else played this, they didn't know what they were looking at. So anyway, that was Ninja Turtles. It was exciting. So next up, I floated around the floor. I found some games that I'd never played. I'd never seen X-Force. This had stereo sound by Technoplay with some weird brand I had never seen before, so I had to take a picture of it. That was great about this expo. Is you've seen tables that you'd never seen before, you'd never heard about. I didn't find an Addams Family. I didn't find a Twilight Zone. I didn't find you've seen Circus Voltaire and you've seen some other ones. But some of the bigger, more expensive titles you didn't like. I don't think I seen them at Evil Madness anywhere. I did actually. There was one over by Stern area later on that I found. Cactus Canyons were there and different things. But yeah, it was fun to see some tables that I'd never seen. This table, I know backwards and forwards. Let me jump back. Sorry about that. I did this again. Ninja Turtles. Let me make sure I show this. This is the Ninja Turtles table that I was talking about. Man, I think I skipped over the pictures again, and I want to make sure that I give some focus to that. How far back did I miss? So, anyway, let's jump to Independence Day. Independence Day is an awesome table. I want this table. It's $37.50. This is one of the tables that I would consider owning. I don't have the cash, but it's something that I really wanted. I played Predator. Predator's a great table. This one is a very difficult table. You really can't do a lot on the left side of the table. It's a tough table. It's not one that I really liked. A lot of people are finding it pretty hard. This is a Pinball Brothers table. I love Alien, but it's almost never working. Every time I play it, it seems to be broke. So I'm hoping this game does not have the problems that Alien does. Really cool IPs, so I hope that they get in line and do some really good stuff. Back to homebrews. Again, I was back in homebrews quite a few different times. This is The Greatest Showman, which was a reskin of Whirlwind. So, awesome table. Lots of cool elements to it. They redid the DMD and the skins and everything. Even had a Jenny Lind topper, which was really cool. There's back to Ninja Turtles. I went ahead and snapped a picture of the back glass. This had the old DMD, which I think might not be the case for the actual release here in a couple weeks. I think that they probably updated that. Maybe not. So we'll see. I think this table's been in the hopper for a while. No pun intended for Turtles, but anyway, we'll see. I'm looking forward to this one. Here's the Gravatar machine that I showed. Super excited about this one. I guess these are going to be about $600 to $800 though, so it's not something that I would buy, but these are really cool. I love Gravatar, and the fact that it doesn't have a D-pad or joystick, you had to go with the old style controls for this, and it's really cool. So these were some Lego Lego guys that I found. The guy was selling them for like $5 or $20. I'm like, sign me up. I gotta have these. The Flash I got for my son. Link I got for my son-in-law. I actually got quite a few other ones here. I got Raphael. I got Deadpool, which was a no-brainer. You gotta have Deadpool. And then I even have Bo-Katan because I'm a huge Mandalorian fan. I already had the Mandalorian himself from a Lego set that I bought, so I had to have those. And then back to Wonderland. This was the underside of the Wonderland cabinet, and this is where Vic and Biggie were trying to convince me that you need to give this another shot. If anything did go wrong, it'd be easy to fix. This is how you do it. You know, all this stuff's easily accessible. I'm not looking to get a pinball machine to start fixing things. I'm capable of fixing things. I'm pretty handy doing stuff. I don't like to solder necessarily, but I can do just about anything else. I can fix things and move things around and replace things. I do stuff on the 4KP, obviously. So yeah, and then back to homebrew. We kept going back to homebrew. This was a Spaceballs table. It was not that great. It was a thing. Here's Evil Dead. I never got to play this one. This one was actually dead, but it was on the show floor, and I could actually walk up to it. The lines for Evil Dead were crazy. There was always 3-4 people in line, and it takes forever to play, apparently, because I could never get up to Evil Dead. Looks cool. It is what it is. This was another one, Quistal. These were, I believe, Korean pinball machines. There was a Tokyo Perfect Drift and Super Hoop. They both had some appeal to them. Really cool lighting. This one actually had a scoop that kicks the ball up to a magnet and then it kind of slam dunks the ball for you, which I thought was pretty cool. There's this close-up of the playfield. It's okay. Obviously, it's AI art by the looks of things, which is pretty common, especially if you start looking at Zachariah Pinball. All their artwork is now AI. So this was really cool. This was a mod for Elvira Scared Stiff as green and the clear, and it looks like emeralds and diamonds. It's a very beautiful, awesome table. Goes to show how much pinball tables have really gone into things. So here's where I want to take a moment and talk about the content creator seminar that I attended. So this was incredible experience. I got to meet Retroralph, the Loserkid Podcast crew, and the guys from Flippin' Out, Joel and Jared. I got to speak to Joel prior to the speaking here, and he actually gave me one of his magnets. He deemed me cool enough to get one of those, apparently. So that was really cool. I got to meet with them. And I even asked a question during the seminar about what it takes to transition out of digital pins and into real pins. The biggest hurdle I see is the cost. And so I was like, how should I do this? Who do I talk to? How should I save money? And I got some really good feedback from them, and these guys are really awesome. Although I hear Retroralph has an ugly face, so there's that to deal with. But I was Josh, and I want to say it's Kyle Larson, I think as he said his name. It's really quiet. I don't think I caught his name, but he had a really sincere vibe about him, and I really appreciated that. Really good guys, all of these guys. I got to talk to Jared quite a bit beforehand. Joel and Jared is just, those two love each other, and they're just the brothers. They play pinball and they have fun, and it screams all of that. And it was a really cool experience. If you haven't watched the full video of this, I'll put a link in the description of this video. It's awesome, and it was a great conversation about content creation and what it means for these creators and what it means to all of us that are doing the same thing on a lesser level. And so it was really cool to see. You could see Joel really tipping his hat, if you will, and it was an awesome event. Back to the P3. This is where I realized that the side skins were actually magnetic and got to see those. Then I was trying to work out in my head, okay, if I was to buy one of these, what would it cost? Which ones would I get? I'd have to have Final Resistance. I'd have to have Princess Bride. I'd have to have Portal. Which cabinet would I get? Would I get a generic cabinet? How would I go about doing that? What the cost would be? This is a buddy of mine. We didn't know each other, but we became friends pretty quickly playing Final Resistance. We both looked at this table like, this freaking rocks. We played it. Obviously, this was the Princess Bride, but somebody had asked him to swap it out. Justin, the guy in the yellow hat in the background, swapped out the module and let us play Final Resistance, and it had a crowd. I mean, there were people that were like, oh my gosh, that's cool, we got to play that. So, and then back to Wonderland again. So here, BiggyD and Vic were showing me the underside of the playfield, and Vic was trying to help me discuss, he knows that I wanted to get a pinball machine. So he was talking about whether or not this would be a viable option for repair and fixing and maybe a good way to learn. And it's cheaper investment and all valid points. But we walked around. We looked at some of the tables that I've considered, like F14 Tomcat. They had one here locally in Livonia, Michigan, down by me, Detroit area. That apparently is a System 11. It's a pretty good board, fun table. So this was pretty cool. I found this custom topper to a Turner pinball game for Ninja Eclipse, which I'm a huge fan of, as I mentioned earlier. I actually took this picture and took it over and talked to the actual designer of the table, the young kid that did Ninja Eclipse. He didn't know this even existed. He's like, that is so cool. So that was really cool. And then I got to talking about this one here. So obviously I'm in the market for a pinball table, right? This one here is only $2,000. You see the price. Brian Haskell's selling this thing. And I believe he was a speaker later on. I didn't know that at the time. I wish I was able to talk to him. This table I fell in love with at the show. I've never played it, never seen it. It was only $2,000. It shoots incredibly well, has lots of really cool elements to it. Absolutely love this table. Didn't have a coin door. It doesn't matter. It didn't matter. It was just such a fun table. It's simple. It's fun. It has some bumpers and some spinner. The spinner, like the lamp from Tales from Arabian Nights. There's a couple different cool multi-balls. You had... Everything about this table I absolutely fell in love with. It's just clean and crisp and it works. The only thing I was considering is I wonder if anybody's done a DMD mod on this thing that cut out a 8-inch square in the bottom center of that back glass and put a DMD in there with some triggers with some really cool artwork. It could be a really awesome cabinet. Even as is, this was one that I would absolutely love to have in my future collection. I played it and played it and played it. I waited in line a couple of times when little kids were playing it because it's a little bit shorter cabinet. It's just, I adore this table. It's so great. Back to the homebrews. Here's another one. This was a 3-foot wide coffee table that spins 90 degrees, and it would rotate to the next person of the 4 people. And it's made by, is this a homebrew? It says Bally Midway on there. I thought this was a homebrew, but now I'm like, what in the world is this thing? I'd never seen anything like it. I'm trying to think. It wasn't in the homebrew section necessarily. It was right next to it. So maybe this isn't. I'd never seen this before. Maybe I assumed it was a homebrew, but now that I'm looking at it, I'm like, holy crap, man. It's so wild. It's such an amazing design. Really cool. And this thing is still tilted a little bit, right? So that it's tilted so you still have your arc. And then it spins. That's why it has to spin to the other people. You can't just leave it flat because then the ball would never want to do anything. It's cool. It's just cool. Some of the ingenuity is amazing. Again, Pinball FX. I spent a lot of time over at Pinball FX over the course, or at the X Arcade location here over the course of the 3 days, talking with Abby and Josh. They were really good about answering questions and let me know that how this thing is going. The accelerometer works great with the side nudges. The forward nudge is pretty late, I thought, and the plunger isn't currently dialed in. It's basically dialed to a push button right now. So the longer you push it, is the plunger. So that wasn't working just yet. So at any rate, looking forward to this. It plays really good in VR though, and Elvira I got to play for the first time. The only thing I didn't remember to do is take my prescription lenses from my MetaQuest. So everything was a little more blurry than I'm used to playing VR, but this certainly wasn't their fault. Again, back to homebrew. Mickey Mouse and the Steamboat Willie. It's pretty cool. We already talked about this flyer. This was a cool purchase that we made. So Pinball Pinups, I have this book, which I got signed. Well, here, the next picture actually shows it signed. Be sure to clear the outline. This is by Michael Thomason. We talked quite a bit, and after I bought this book, this was a $50 book. I could have paid $40 for the soft cover, but I was like, I want the hard cover. I took this back to the hotel, and I went through every single page of it. It's an incredible book. I was enthralled. It shows all of the beautiful women in the artwork of pinball machines over the history of the machines. He did say he did get some flack from some feminists at the show But he assured them that there is a second book coming called Pinball Players. So all the men of pinball artwork. So that will be coming out too. This book apparently is going to be on Amazon in 4 to 5 weeks. So I'm going to be doing a review saying how wonderful it is. I went back to him the next day and shook his hand and just said, man, that's awesome. This is a great collectible, a great coffee table type of book. And I was super excited to have bought it. So this was one of the pages inside. Earthshaker, Electra, Eclipse. There's some really cool artwork throughout the book. I'm not going to show you everything, obviously. There is some nudity in it. Artwork, mind you. But it is a thing. So. And then here we talked a little bit about that flyer. This was part of a section here. The Pinball Scientist. He was at the show. Again, I got one of his stickers. He had a cool metallic sticker. Stuck that on my there. So I got some cool videos of this gumball rally machine here that you can custom make your own pinball machine, which I thought was really cool. They also had a jewelry box that I did I don't even think it's a jewelry box. It's like a miniature pinball machine branded as the American Girl, and it was playable. I took a little short of it. You can definitely check that out if you want. This was Space Shuttles from Zachariah. It was for sale. I love this table. They wanted a lot of money for this table. I want to say it was like $8,000. These are really hard to come by. This one had a broken inlay on it, or rollover at the top, so kind of disappointing. But that was a lot of the stuff that I did throughout the day and got to do, and the people that I met were fantastic. I will go through some of the trinkets and the swag that I brought home. And one of the biggest things that I purchased was this here. So this is artwork from Brian Allen for my Attack from Mars machine. He did a beautiful display of this. So I bought a frame for that, which should be arriving in the mail today. So I'll be able to have that in frame and above my 4KP. I found these little 3D printed cubes from Fast Pinball over in the homebrew section. They're very cool, but they are incredibly sharp. But they are awesome. I did buy some pinballs. So I bought 3 pinballs. I never dealt with the weight of an actual pinball, so I wanted to have one to hold in my hand, manifest a pinball machine, if you will. I did get to play the pinball machine, which was kind of a white branded table, and Brooke actually, when we talked earlier before I actually met her. I just wanted to play the pinball machine at that point. And she said at the end, she's like, here, take this with you. So I grabbed it, kept it with me. And then we met up in the Winchester Mystery House line later on, where we talked extensively about pinball, and she has an arcade, and I guess it's around the Dayton, Ohio area. And so we had a great conversation about pinball and Mystery House and Dune and all those good things. I met so many cool people. This was another homebrew guy who did Battle Stations, a 2-player pinball machine where you actually battle it out. It was really cool. There was a Monster Hockey 2-player game. There's Joust, which is a 2-player. Grownup Adjacent was another guy I met. I've watched a lot of his content. This is Aaron Schroeder. He does a lot of content creation online, doing real pinball in vertical and horizontal formats. Just streams, and I've seen his stuff for the last month, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh my gosh, there he is, man. So I went up, shook his hand, just said hi. I met so many cool people. This community, I don't know what it is about the arcade community. They seem to be more at each other's throats, but in the pinball community, there is nothing but friendship and supportiveness, and we all build each other up. It is fantastic throughout this entire community. I did see thepinballcabinet.com. This guy actually creates digital pinball machines with rockers and shakers, and it had a 42-inch OLED monitor in it. Absolutely gorgeous. The tilt sensitivity was perfect. He showed me it and Big Bang Bar and quite a few other games that were just absolutely perfect. Lethal Weapon 3 I got to play. Obviously, I'll play those on my 4KP on VPX to a lesser extent. They're not quite as... Obviously, that chip can't handle a lot of what his could. But they were pretty cool. Then there were these little chip things. This was... I believe this is for Avatar, maybe? I couldn't remember if this was for Avatar or not. Looks really cool. I can't remember what that's from. I believe it's Avatar. I found this one for Revenge from Mars, which is on brand with my Games 4KP, which is the Attack from Mars. Bally World Cup Soccer, pretty cool. A Twilight Zone. And I found a Universal Studios Monsters. So I had to pick those up over the course of the 3 days. I had to make sure that there was enough for everybody else and that I didn't steal any of them from anybody else. So, but there'll be wonderful things to be able to put around my man cave, my pin studio, whatever this is, my fun, I don't know, whatever you want to call it. But that was the week that was. You know, I had an incredible time meeting the incredible people in this community. Also supportive, also willing to support me and help me. So many of you reached out and said, "Hey, what's your channel? Like, you know, I want to subscribe." And I had a lot of new subscribers. And if you guys are seeing this video for the first time, I can tell you that my content is raw, it's uncut. You notice I screwed up in this video as well as the first take of this video by not showing the video, the picture that I was talking about. We'll have to go back and see how far I missed. But it is what it is. I hope that you enjoy the content that I do. I do a lot of live streaming. I do news events. I just love pinball. I do IFPA events, and I want to buy a pinball machine. I expect to be able to fix them. I expect to be able to work on them. It's just been fantastic. So, the biggest question is, will I be back to Pinball Expo next year? Absolutely. I don't need to go for 3 days. That's one thing I did learn. And then I don't think I'm interested in doing the IFPA event that's there. It was very time consuming. And come to find out, I met Sterling and Josh Matosa, his father. They mentioned that it's like, if this is your first time, you don't want to do that because you'll miss out on the entire show. And I could see that. They're just not available. So it is what it is. But man, oh man, what a cool 3 days. It was a blessing to be able to go. I drove. When I came back, I was in an absolute monsoon, hydroplaning, and I was pretty worried there for a stretch of time on the way home. But I got back about 10:30 last night and was able to crash in my own bed, which was very nice. So thank you all for watching. I won't keep you any longer on this football Sunday. But thank you so much for putting your trust in me, even a little, just to be able to watch some of this content. And hopefully you experienced as much joy as I did by being here, just by watching some of the stuff that I did. I invite you, if you have the opportunity or you have the means, definitely get out to one of these. You don't need to be there 3 days. Spend a day. Enjoy the pinball space. There's so much going on. It's a wonderful community. Thank you so much, and we will see you guys next time. Oh, one last thing. Remember, you only need one ball for greatness. Keep plunging. I can't forget to do that. See, I screw up a lot. It's fine. No one cares. We'll see you guys. Bye. Retroralph.